Hello, hello, and welcome back. You are all welcome. Welcome to the conversation. This is a conversation I've been looking forward to for a long time, and I'm glad that we have made it happen.
Oh yeah,
Jenna, you're welcome.
I'm so glad to finally here because I love
Yes.
as often as I can. Especially it's like just depending on the time difference because I'm often
Mm,
tuning into your live streams
mm.
during work. I'm like, oh, my girl Esther on, come
Oh,
on.
it must. What time is it where you are? It must be early.
It is 10 a.m. 10 in the
Oh.
morning. People are off to church, not me. So
I
but that's
haven't
another
been to
conversation because I'm
church
about to.
myself. I haven't been
I
to
know,
church myself. Let me tell you, that's the best thing that could happen
I know.
to me. Don't
Mm-hmm.
have to go to church. Do you know? I used to feel guilty on a Sunday when I can't go to church. I feel so guilty. You
Yeah.
know, because they make you feel like this is what we were told. We were told that the presence of God was the most important place to be. So
Mm,
if you're not inside, and the presence of God is the four walls of church,
right.
but then they
Yeah.
forget that they're the same people who tell you that God is everywhere. He sees and knows everything. But
Mm-hmm.
somehow you've got to be in the four walls of church. I
Yeah.
don't know how that's supposed to work.
I mean, I was told things similar to that too, but that never scared me, even as a kid.
Mm.
It was just the agony of having to not only get up super early, but go multiple times on Sunday too, not just like a second time, but sometimes a third time. So there'll be,
No, hang on, hang on. You
yeah,
used to go to church 3 times?
in the same day. So there's 8 a.m. service, then there's that Sunday school in between, then there's 11 o'clock, and then I'll be damned if there's like a special occasion or like a visiting church, because then my mom wants to go back at 3:30.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I'm
Okay,
like,
you know
oh,
something? You know something? We used to go for just one service, but
mm,
we'll get to church for 9 o'clock and don't leave until 3 o'clock.
that long?
Yes,
Oh
because don't
man.
forget, don't forget, the Holy Spirit leads. We follow the lead of the Holy Spirit. So when the whole anointing and laying on of hands, that
Mm-hmm.
can go on for long, and you do not question the move of the Spirit.
That's a whole day's work without pay.
Listen, they expect you to sacrifice your.
No,
It's
no.
it's just
I'm
terrible,
I
terrible.
don't miss it.
Anyways, you're welcome, Jenna.
Thank you. Thank you,
Do
Esther.
you want to do you want to introduce yourself, please?
Yes. Yes. Hello, chat. Dome over, Mark, Harmonica Man. I'm
Yes,
familiar with
hello
all of you
everyone.
guys. I mean,
I
most of you
blaspheme every
already.
Sunday.
I know. Actually, I work on Sundays. Yeah. Oh, I remember when that used to be an excuse for me when I would work on Sundays. But anyway, most of you already know me. So just briefly, Jena Miyu. Also go by the Black Female Atheist, our BFA. I mean, mostly I'm on Twitter, Facebook. I do a lot of random shows, like part of the Atheist Network group with Oz and Biddy and the rest, are hashtag Tang Gang. I know with Oz, he and I do a show every other Tuesday called Chopping It Up. Oh, there's Ryan. Hi, Ryan. Sorry, I
Okay.
gush for a Ryan. I love you. I gush
Oh,
for a
of
moment.
course.
She's fantastic. Yeah, I got
Fantastic.
to talk to her more.
Hello. Ooh.
Um, so, yeah, do that show with Oz every other Tuesday, chopping it up. I know this coming Tuesday we have a good show coming up on March 1st. Um, Also with my own co-anchor channel with my friend Justin, the International Free Thinkers on Thursday. And I'm also doing things on Saturdays on occasion with the Promethean Secular Frontier or PSF. And you're
Mhm.
invited to do a show sometime on March 19th where we'll have
Yes.
Mandisa and Cynthia.
Oh, I'm looking
So
forward
that's
to
gonna
that.
mm-hmm, that's gonna be a good
Forward
conversation.
to that. Oh, yes.
Um, See, I don't care. I got lipstick on my teeth. I got it. I got
I
it.
didn't
Yeah.
see it. I didn't see it. I didn't see
I
it.
kept trying to get it. It bugged me, but I don't care. It's fine. So really, and in the process of doing my own kind of content here and there, so I'm all over the place, and it's weird because what I've been, I guess it's been 3.5 years since I've become an atheist and
Oh
got
wow.
introduced to all of this, community and YouTube and online things. And it kind of just thrusted on me like fast. Um, I didn't think or want to like put my face out there because, most know that I am still a closet atheist too. So having my, you know, image out, viewable, whatever, is, it's a risk, but hey, I like what I do. It's kind of like my own therapy in a sense. So I'll just continue to do it.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you for what you do, and thank you for being a representation. There's not many black female atheists.
Oh
There's not
yeah.
many at all. And to see faces like yours, you were an inspiration to me. I saw you in I cannot remember which one of the shows. It's been a while now. I saw you in one of the shows and I thought, oh wow, she's an atheist. Oh wow, I better double up on my work and carry on doing what I'm doing. So thank you for putting yourself out there. You
Hmm.
know,
Girl,
oh,
that means a lot because I'm like, I saw you just come on out of nowhere, it seems, and you like exploded. Your channel just grew because you just push out content left and right, and it's what you do, like,
mm,
because it's too much American, what's going on in
okay,
America
okay.
stuff, like where you come from, and highlighting, the crazy on that end of the world is
Oh
even more
yes.
profound. So that's why
Mm.
I know you uniquely have grown all on your own. So kudos to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Honestly, I do, and I think that this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
This is just the beginning. There's lots more. Um, there's a lot more to do. There's a lot more to do.
Oh yeah.
Religion has eaten deep into people. I'm not going to just say black people or white
Mm-hmm.
people.
Mm-hmm.
Just people, all
It's
in
people.
general, and
Yeah.
there's other ways. There's other perspectives, not just the religious perspectives. So anyway, I will share with you a little bit about my deconversion story, and
Yeah.
then hopefully you'll share with us a bit of your deconversion story, how you came out
Absolutely.
of Christianity. So for myself, right in front of me, I can see that my certificate is hanging up there. It is the Pathways to Ministry. Was given to me because I was preparing to be a priest in the Church of England.
Ooh.
I'd done the first year of an introduction to um, Christianity. I'd
Mm-hmm.
done the
Mm-hmm.
second year of Pathways to Ministry. The third year was supposed to be at the theology school, right,
Oh
where
wow.
I'll go and
Okay.
study to become. But it looks like the more we studied, the more we looked at the Bible, just things didn't add up. A lot of things just wouldn't sit right with me. And so I started asking, why do I believe what I believe? Then during that time, the George Floyd thing happened and everywhere was in uproar. Then in my local church, black people in church started speaking up. They started saying, there is racism in our church. And I couldn't, thinking, there's racism in our church? Really? I haven't
Wow.
experienced it.
Yeah.
And so the vicar wanted to have conversations, black people, just because I think he sensed that if they didn't meet whatever was happening in the bud, things could escalate in church. And so the topic of Jesus's ethnicity came up. as a result. And that was a shock to me to find out Jesus um was not fair. He was not fair skinned. He was not white. I'm like, hang on a second. No, 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 no. I grew up knowing a white man, this white figure. I grew up with you. I don't know if you know those images of Jesus with his blonde hair, blue eyes. That's what we were introduced to in Africa.
Really?
Oh,
Now
absolutely. We were
that's
shown
interesting.
pictures.
Yeah.
The people who brought Christianity, they brought pictures with them,
Mm-hmm.
pictures of the white Jesus with them.
Okay, that makes sense.
In every Most Christians have an image of Jesus in their house. And so to learn that Jesus wasn't white, I'm like, no, that's not
Mhm.
true. So I went on a mission to find out, is this true or not? I went to the vicar, and then the vicar says to me, it is true. Jesus was not white. That is the lie that the church sold to the world. Now, the person who's speaking, he's a white man,
Uh-huh.
and he's telling me it is true what you've been told, that Jesus was not a white man. It's the lie the church sold to the world, which the church needs to apologize for. He then said that he thinks that Jesus was a black Rastafarian. And I was gobsmacked. I'm like, hey, black Rastafarian. So he said, what most Christians do, they when they pray, when they think of Jesus, they think of Jesus in the image that they see, the image that resonates with them. So a black person might see Jesus as a black person, a white
Mm-hmm.
person might see Jesus as a white. So depending on
Sure.
what
Because you want that
you see,
relatability. Yeah.
then I'm like, if that's the case, then why were we told that Jesus was white? Why? What was the idea behind that? And if you're telling me it's a lie that the church sold to the world, then I started asking, if they could lie about Jesus's ethnicity, what else could they be lying about? He
So
then
that's what got
said,
you.
he then said to me, he said, you know what? Don't, don't bother too much about his ethnicity. Let's focus on what Jesus came to do. That should be our focus. Christians believe that, in the person Jesus. So let that be my focus. So I went
Right.
home thinking, what exactly did Jesus come to do? If that's my
Mm-hmm.
focus. Okay, I've been told that everything I've known as a child is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
When I closed, I told the vicar, it's not going to work. I cannot imagine Jesus as a black Rastafarian. It's not going to work. All my life, I've seen this white image. When I shut my eyes to pray, I see that image. So now I cannot just change that image in my head. I can't change. Anyways, it says go focus on what Jesus came to do. And so I started asking the question. I remember I was walking, and I asked myself, could God have saved humanity without having to send his child down to earth? Could God have saved all of us without needing a blood sacrifice? And the answer is yes. God can save humanity. Well, if you believe he's all powerful, if you
Right.
believe he's all these things,
Right.
but somehow he needs a blood sacrifice of not just anyone, but of his own child.
I don't know what's with Christians and that blood sacrifice. it's
Anyway,
always
I
it's always
I
a
I
blood.
hope you see now how slowly it just the
Yeah.
house of cards just started to fall apart. And
No.
when it did, it's it fell apart, and I couldn't for the life of me see religion as a good thing. And when I left Christianity, I was done with religion altogether. I didn't want to know about Islam, didn't want to know about any other religion. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
nope,
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting on a blank slate. And here, that's my story, Jenna.
I like no that that's a lot, and it's not like I remember listening to your story when you did it for Neil, and of course you did a video. I mean, there's been many occasions on your own channel where you talked about it. So, I mean, more or less, I'm familiar. But hearing all of that and then some more in detail again, it makes sense. Because I sat back and thought, I would have thought from where you live, your perspective or image of Jesus would have been a black man.
Oh
Um,
no.
yeah, so that's fascinating to me. So that's my own assumption that I can definitely write off because growing up, yeah, it was the typical white image too, but like that you would see on throughout society here in America. But in church, the image through PowerPoint presentation or when we had plays and things like that, it was always black. It was always black Jesus. So
Hmm.
I was accustomed and used to that too. Like biblical games and stuff that I was given as a child or books was blackface Jesus, and all of that. So the only time I would be exposed to the standard white faced Jesus, blue eyed, blonde hair Jesus, would be outside of church. It'll be
Hmm.
outside of, and everyone else, outside of where I grew up in church. So you, and goddamn, how confusing is that? To be like,
I
okay, so
know.
which is which? And then once I start to finally really pay attention in church, you're kind of like, okay, but if this region is like somewhere in the Middle East and Egypt or whatever, then technically he would have been like this brown skinned, so he wouldn't
Mm.
necessarily be African. You're confused. And then the ultimate confusion for me was it tripped me up for like the longest. And my mom actually got mad at me because I kept saying this one time. This is the only time I really was vocal about, even though I still believe I was vocal about not being sure because I wanted to be right, was when when I finally listened to the story of Jesus and that he was actually a Jew, and I'm like,
Oh
wait,
yeah.
shouldn't I be Jewish then? Because Jesus is Jewish, so I should be Jewish. Mom, we should be Jewish. That was the ultimate trip up for me. That wasn't what started everything, but that I remember that clearly for the longest time when I was younger. That would just mess up my head because I was like, okay, so the Jews converted to Christ, so now we're Judeo-Christian or just Christian, but they're still Jews. So why are they late to the converting? I don't know. It was a whole thing when I was younger. I could not understand it, but ultimately it doesn't matter. But no, I guess my story, um, I think the most beautiful thing about, seeing and hearing and talking to other Black atheists is that everyone is so different.
Mm.
Everyone's story is
Mm.
so different, but we more or less go through the same traumas and things like that. And, it's not many of us because we're, it's for many reasons, it's not, looked upon us, or we're not offered the privilege to be non-believers. We're
Yes.
looked on instantaneously as you are a believer, and 9 times out of 10 it's Christian. There are other
Mm-hmm.
Black
Mm-hmm.
believers from Islam, Catholic, and everything else, but 9 times out of 10 you're labeled a believer and it's Christian. And so for me, my deconversion, to make it uh, kind of summarize, because there's many parts, many stages where it initiated, where it's finally get to question, and then ultimately left. It finally initiated for me when I finally started to pay attention in church. I was and stopped falling asleep in the pews. Um,
Oh, Jenna, you used
it
to
was
go to
bad.
sleep in
It was
church. Used
bad.
to be very boring.
It was so
Very
boring.
boring.
Like my mom, good on my mother for always feeding us candy. She was awake.
we always had jollof rice after service. So for some
Oh.
people, yeah. So I've actually heard someone say to me that they go to church for the jollof rice, and that's when they get to wear their best clothes. You know, what
Your
they
Sunday
call your
best.
Sunday best. So
Mm-hmm.
they go to church because that's where they can show off their best clothes and they
Yep.
can eat jollof rice.
Yep. And that aspect of church I detested too, but I'll go into that. But yeah, I guess when I finally paid attention around like early preteens, I started to like really listen to what my preacher, and at this time he was really like the old school one, preacher, where it got a lot into it felt really like I was familiar with the whole Noah story and Job and all that stuff. Those things didn't bother me. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. But the real intricate ones about how we demonize and brutalize homosexuality, how we treat slaves, how we treated women.
Hmm.
And, those intricacies, even though when they would preach that, their charisma covered it in such a way that it was okay. And I was like, well, I don't feel that's okay, but I guess that makes sense. I don't know. That's when I finally was internally questioning, well, that's weird, but okay. And after a small altercation with a good friend that came out to me saying that she was a lesbian, and me pretty much telling her in her face that, oh, you're going to go to hell, that, yeah, that was the most disgusting I've ever felt in my life. And I lost her as a friend,
Oh,
obviously, and for good
sorry.
reason. I mean, that was
Yeah,
gross what I
yeah,
said.
yeah.
Regret it to this day. But,
I'm sorry.
that's just the ignorance of, believing in a faith where the toxicity of demonizing marginalized people comes into play. And that is something that's a hang up for me, even though I'm a cis het woman. That's the thing that is my hang up as far as treating others that don't abide by man and woman and procreation through sex only and all that stuff is complete bull. That stuff is my hang up to this day. So being an ally for my friends that are of the LGBTQ community is something that is important to me because it allows me to either speak on what they tell me so I can educate and encourage others, or I sit back and just listen to what they have to say because the cruelty from that was just is too much. Moving from like when I got into college, that's when I started really researching and like silently still questioning things. Wasn't sure, thought maybe I was agnostic. Finally, understood what an atheist was, because it wasn't labeled to me as like devil things. I think it was like labeled at least as far as evil, but it was more along the lines of a lot of what my church family would say as white people problems. Like that's the white man's problem. The white man has the privilege of being that way, but they're going to come back to it or whatever. And, just like any other religion, like Islam, they're just believing um, the wrong thing, or maybe they're either believing the wrong thing for a moment and they'll turn back. Or in their language, this is what Christianity was. So that's how my mind was messed up and interpreted all that too. Like, oh, Islam is just like Christianity. It's just, in their language or for them, this is the same thing. Obviously, it's not. But
Yeah.
that's what I was fed. That's what I was told. And so being in
So
that bubble,
they believe they all serve one God.
right? Yeah. No, and then what finally hit the nail on the head for me, and it was drawn out throughout this whole several year deconstruction process was when I lost my father. I was 20 years old. He suddenly died.
Oh,
And so that funeral, I was like kind of silently questioning, but I still hung on to my belief. Losing him and seeing everyone approach me saying, "Oh, he's in a better place. God wants him for a reason." I'm like, that set me off. That infuriated me enough to want to be like, that's bull. I'm still a young woman that needs her dad.
Oh yeah.
And it was just sudden that God just wants to take him from me or something. And that was tragic. And I dealt with that for several years, just in and out of faith, not believing, not really caring if I believed, and feeling like I could be rebellious or whatever. And then up until like 3 years later, I was like, well, I don't believe anymore. That's it.
Mm.
So it's a process, many roller coasters up and down, and keeping with that secret from my family has pretty much helped. I think having kept that secret from my family to this day has delayed that process more. I probably could have been a non-believer years ago, but the hang up is that this whole tie of my faith is so tied with my family as well,
Mm.
because they're strong believers, Baptist Christians. And I would hate, just given that we've lost, like the head of the household in a sense.
Yeah.
And even though it's been like 10, 11 years, it's still very sensitive to all of us in
Yes.
different ways. So I hate it for myself to be that extra person to cause that trauma.
Mm.
And that's more or less how I feel now. Mm-hmm.
I'm so sorry to hear that. And this is the problem with religion. I lost my mom 2 years ago, quite
Mm-hmm.
suddenly as well. And I had someone say to me, be thankful that your mom is in heaven. She was a Christian. And be thankful she's not in hell and she's in heaven. And that really upset me. Now, they thought they were trying to meet me at my point of grief.
Mm-hmm.
They
Console
were
you.
trying to, I'm here. At this time, I just started identifying as an atheist, but I had made it public yet. And so I started just accepting that there's only this one life we have. Outside of this, there's nothing else. It was a new concept to me now. And so my mom passing and me trying to just understand that I would never see her again. I have her memories. I have, these things to always think on, and then this person comes along and says, "Your mom is in heaven. At least she's not in hell." It really upset me. Oh,
I can
it
only
did
imagine
the
if they said it the
opposite.
other way around.
Mm.
It's
Because
cruel
my thing
either way.
is, how do you know this?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know this?
Mm-hmm.
You do not know this, and so you come at the person's point of grief and tell them things that, yeah. So
You're right. Yeah.
sorry.
No, no. No, it's as many times, and I know you feel it too. As many times as I talk about myself or talk about this, just getting in depth with it still is just as frustrating, and it's just as painful, and it's just as tiring as any other time. And it's always going to be that way because, leaving religion, when one leaves religion or leaves faith, we're still met with whatever our families feel about us,
Mm,
whatever society says about us, and just that negative view of ourselves. We always have to fight against that. It's a constant fight, and it's tiring. And just as like it's a
it
constant
is.
fight for people to have equal rights, constant fight for LGBT members to be to marry and do what they want with their lives and have appropriate health coverage and care, the crap that's going on in Texas, all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a constant fight,
Mm,
and striving to normalize it will take a long time, and we still will constantly be fighting. And that doesn't mean the pain and the emotion and the sadness from it will ever really wane. It'll get better, but it's still
mm,
there. Just
mm-hmm.
like, the loss of losing your mom, it's
Yes.
just as synonymous as me losing my dad over a decade
Yes.
ago. It's still there.
Yes. Absolutely. Now, Two questions for you.
Mhm.
The first one is, are there any atheists in your family? Or are you the only one? In my family, I'm the only atheist. In my immediate family, I'm the, well, when I say family, I mean
Mhm.
among my brothers, sister, uncles, aunties. It was hard to come out to them because I came out and listen, I'm an atheist. And whew, they said, oh, how can you be an atheist and this and that and that? But well, for now, we don't speak about religion. It's off the table. So I come here and I do my thing here. My son, my first son is 19, but he's an atheist. He's been a lifelong atheist. When we used to go to church, he just could not buy into
Wow.
the whole yeah, it did make sense
Your
to
son
him.
was already there.
It didn't make sense to him. It just he couldn't understand how
Mhm.
grown adults believe stories that just didn't make sense. He never bought into it. And I am so glad. I am so glad that the religion thing stops
Mhm.
with me. I've told my kids, if you choose religion, if you choose to be a religious person in my home, please, you're welcome to do so, but make sure that you do the work needed to find out why you believe what you believe. Make sure that it is for good reasons why you
Mhm.
believe, not
Mhm.
because someone's forcing it down your throat, not because someone's there's there are all these carrots dangled at the end of it. Oh, there's eternal life, don't go to hell, or God
Right.
will bless you and this, and make sure you believe for the right reasons. I've said to them, and if they choose religion, I will love them all the same. I would love them all the same, but
As you
at
should.
least
Yeah.
I haven't got to transfer, that indoctrination, what happened to me, hasn't got to shift over to them.
Right.
I'm so pleased for that. And the
Mm.
second question is, why do black people believe that atheists are devil worshippers? So those are the two questions for you.
Yeah. Well, with the first, I know in my immediate family, I am the only one. As far as my extended family, I would safely say I am the only one. So technically, I'm the only one. uh, I know that with most certainty. I don't talk to all of my family's really small, and they're like in various places of the US. Most, since they were older, have passed on and stuff, but I know for sure I'm the only one. um uh as far as the views with black believers believing that atheists are devil worshippers or evil, I think I think the initial stance is to create a scare tactic, because there's always an opportunity, no matter if it's a funeral, wedding, any special
Yes.
occasion, any Passover, any type of revival, anything like that. There's always an occasion to bring people to Jesus.
Mm.
Always. And funerals are heavy with that. Once I finally start paying attention at funerals after I was an atheist, because I've been to too many funerals in my life, and then I'm like, wow, there's a lot of talk about bringing people to Jesus, and there's
I
the person
know.
in the box. It's like,
There's
this is horrible.
hardly any talk about the person who.
Hardly.
Do you know? I've heard it said. Someone said to me that they went to a funeral where the person who was leading the funeral said the person in the box is in hell, and the
Whoa.
people sitting and listening should give their lives to Christ so they don't end up in hell like that person.
I never witnessed anyone have the balls to say
They
that.
said that to me.
Even if
I'm
it
like,
was true. Like, even if it was, because I know the condition is that you have to you give your life to Christ and be a trust in Him, blah blah blah, and then you're a believer, and that'll guarantee your seat in heaven. But to go as far as, even if you have, as a preacher or whatever, had knowledge of that person not having those moments or moved away from it at the last moment or whatever, and just to say that, wow. I mean,
I
hey,
I've
he's just being
I've
honest.
had okay, so someone in the chat, let me see, there was a
Yeah.
comment. Someone, I think it was Sunday Scorpion, I think. Someone said, oh yeah, this is a comment. I'm writing out my funeral because I don't want anyone getting up saying anything just to suit the family. So
Mm.
I'm thinking about maybe the person, I'm thinking about a scenario where the person might have been a non-believer,
Mhm. Mhm.
and they died with no directions. And so maybe the person was taken to church, but everyone knows the person was an unbeliever. And
Right.
now the pastor thinks they've got the right to tell people that they're going to hell. I've been told I'm going to hell. I've been told that. I mean, someone rang me up saying they were concerned for me, and I thought, why are you concerned? He said he's worried for my eternal damnation. Those were his words. He's worried for my eternal damnation.
I've
I
heard
said,
those
well,
things. Yep.
I said to him, I said, well, I guess we're all damned. I guess we are all damned. And
Yeah.
he stops for a minute, asking, like, like he didn't say anything for a few minutes. I said, yeah, because if you think I'm damned, then guess what? You're going to be eternally damned. I said, do you believe in Islam? He says, no. I said, the Muslims think you're going to their version of hell.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of that? He said, no. I said, well, I said, for me, I may be going to the Christian hell, but guess what? You're going to
To
the
the Muslim.
Muslim hell. I said, we're all going to hell. So I said, listen, we're all done.
I
Congratulations.
like
We're
that.
all
I think I'm gonna use that one day. They're like, oh, you think you're going to heaven? You may be going to Christian heaven, but the Muslims say you're going to Muslim hell.
Oh,
So
you're definitely going to their version of this. We're all going somewhere. I think when all this is all over and done, right? I think about a scenario where all the religions' versions of hell, their angels will be
Mhm.
waiting. Oh, did you believe in Christianity? Oh, you believe it. Okay, no, you go here. You go
This
to
way.
this hell, and you go to that hell, and you go to that heaven.
Okay, single file line. This is Christianity. This is Mormon. Yes, we separate the
Right.
denominations of Christians too.
It's
So whoever got
it's
the
going
Christian
to
one right.
be it's going to be the battle of the hells, and the heavens.
Which one has the booze? That's what I know. I know the Mormons don't, so I ain't going that way.
Uh,
Oh my gosh. No, I that's hilarious. I love it. Um no, but moving what was I gonna say? Yeah, I think the whole thing about, atheists being devil worshippers or whatever, eat babies, whatever, it's just a scare tactic. It's a scare
it is.
tactic to move people closer to Christ because, obviously the main thing about Christianity is to build in their numbers and
Mm,
to raise up your own children in that same
mm,
family. And if you have strays, you have to find ways of
to bring
either
them in.
bringing more people in or those that are in and are questioning
Mm,
you have to scare them. It's a whole, the language that we hear, especially on women, the fear of God, being a God-fearing woman, being submissive to your husband is the same way as being submissive to the Lord and all that stuff. It's fear. It's fear and submission and
yeah,
control. That's I think that's one of the main reasons as far as, attributing atheists as this, because we don't want you to go that way or else no, 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 you know? Um, Other things is that you just, you know, the other component is that they truly don't understand and know what being a non-believer means because
mm,
all of creation is of God. So if that's not God, then what is that? And then we talk big game, some of us, most of us in the community that are, um, evolution, science based and have that background to spit that truth. And we get too bogged down on that and then it
yeah,
just falls out of one ear and out of the other. And so, having that in your back pocket to explain that is not normal. You can't do that with everyday people.
yeah.
Because they won't care. They won't listen to that. So explaining all of that, especially if they don't have the willingness to open their ears. And this kind of dives into my recent experience as far as they'll utilize a scripture in Proverbs. I can't recall what the scripture is, but it's pretty much saying, um, don't ignore the mouth of a non-believer because they just want to tell their truth in ignorance, and you should not bother listening to them or engaging with
Mm.
them.
I
Something
don't
I
know that
mean,
scripture.
I English translated that, but there's a scripture in Proverbs that
Okay.
says that along those lines. So it's intentional to block out what is not within the group, what is not
Right.
Christian. It's intentional. And when you intentionally block that out, then of course you're going to be ignorant of anything outside of that. I
Mhm.
certainly was. I didn't even know what an atheist meant. Like
Oh,
I don't
I
even know if
thought
I ever heard
I
that
thought
word
it
or
was only
indoctrination.
me. I thought it was only me.
Mm-mm.
I did not know what it was to
It was
be an
either people of
atheist
no
when I
faith
was a
or believers.
Christian.
Yeah.
I thought it was only me. It's when I started questioning and I realized, okay, there's such a thing called an atheist, there's agnosticism. I had a book. I had a book where I would write new words. I still have the book somewhere.
Wow.
Atheism was one of them. Agnosticism, uh, uh, just I had different words. I'll go in the
Mm-hmm.
dictionary checking these things out. But when I was a Christian, being an atheist was a very foreign concept. I had no clue what
Very.
that was.
I don't know what that
And
meant. And I thought it was at least, well, it was a person that still believed but didn't go to church.
mm,
So it's like I was a mess. And like you get so sheltered in, Christian home and family and stuff and do all these activities and everything. And it's just like you hear all different sorts of stuff and you just give in to that being what it is. You just never learn until you search it out for yourself.
no, you're absolutely right. And so my next question to you, Jenna, is: so since you came out of Christianity, how are you living your life, your God-free life? How has that been for you? Um, there's people who can't understand how people can be without a God. I've
Mhm.
had people say to me, "Where do you get your morals from? Now you're no longer a Christian.
Mhm.
You know, how are you? How are you a good person without God?" And so, how is it? How has it been? When I came out of Christianity and started identifying as an atheist, I went through a deep depression. I had my moment where I realized I was alone in this. I had YouTube to help me, That's why I do YouTube videos, because YouTube helped me a lot in my deconversion journey. But
Yeah.
outside of YouTube, there
Yeah.
was no one.
Yeah. I
So sorry, it's
I'm
trying to
I'm
get
no,
me.
no, no. Honey,
Sorry,
I'm right. No, by all means,
sorry.
you do not have to apologize because I feel it. I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you because I'm not only am I right there with you, I'm still in it. And it's even it's even difficult for me. And it's I feel you. Like this that's why I think risking doing this now, even with, family, friends, or whoever finding out, it's worth it because, if I didn't, I would have lost my therapy and me helping and working on my mental health because, stemming from losing my dad up until now, I've been diagnosed with mood disorders and depression and things like that, that I've on and off had strive to treat. But it's a struggle because it's 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 multiple things. To more directly answer your question, I and it's a damn good one, girl, because
Mm,
I don't even know how I can answer that. I think I know I'm doing what I want to do because I'm passionate about it and it helps me in the moment. Meeting and speaking with you and all of our friends here and everyone else that we know and the content and the work that we do and the activism and what we speak about and strive for, just demonstrating and displaying that we are good people, um, that helps.
Yes.
But I still have the constant fear of being discovered. I still
Oh gosh. So
feel
are you saying that your family don't know that you're oh Jenna, I can't do this.
sorry. Get me choked up.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good, honey. I'm just I can easily cry too.
I'm so
um,
sorry.
I, I it's no, no one knows, and that I think that hurts me in a lot of ways because I it's so funny. I just recently talked with Oz about this. Um, just the other day. It's I don't like lying to my family. I
No.
don't. It it does bother me as much as I try to cover it up and, you know, strive to be a good daughter and sister. Um, it's it's difficult. And I wish I could tell them, but I don't feel safe. And, just word to those here, don't push those that are closeted or not ready to come out to their families because you don't know what their families would do or say. Just because maybe you had a good experience in your coming out and your family is fine, or you were okay with moving away from their family, or your family still accepted you and love you, that's good. I'm very happy that that was your experience. But that's not everyone's experience. And I feel certain that's not going to be mine. And so, through all of this, I thought initially I was learning to try and find ways to approach them. But I think now, coming to this point, it's finding ways to defend myself and finding ways to be my most authentic self and, you know, being happy in that. And when that time comes, then I know I have supportive friends and people that I love and people that I can lean on. And so my experience now, I'm happy when I do this.
Yeah. Same here.
Outside of it, it's a different story because I constantly keep myself busy. Y'all know I work full time and because I work full time as a nurse, I'm full time going to school too, and I strive to do as much content and things for people and all over the place because I like staying busy. But
Hmm.
in that busyness, it's distracted my mind from the truth, and I know that. So it's hard, but the risk is worth it. Because
Yes.
if I didn't, I think it would be one or two things. I would be struggling really, really hard silently, like I have been before, or I would have gone back to being a believer because it's just easier. It's just easier to,
Mm-hmm.
and it's so easy. It's so easy. There have been, even through my process in the last 3 years, I've had moments where I'm just like, maybe I'll just go back to belief. I'm tired of living like this. I'm tired of being alone. I'm tired of having to hide this from my family. Like I don't love lying to them. But, you know, talking with people helped and um yeah, it's hard, but it's been worth it so far.
I apologize. This was not supposed to be
Esther, this is your fault.
a.
You got me crying.
I know. I and listen. Just put it on me. I'm a
I love you.
I'm I'm
This is
I'm a,
good.
I'm a crybaby. I cry when I'm happy. Cry when I'm sad. I cry about everything. But then well, these are the struggles. I'm in the UK, where UK is quite secular. Here in the UK, you can be an atheist. No one cares. But most of the people who are atheists can't relate with my story because most of them they've been lifelong atheists. They're never born into a religion, so they can't understand what my journey is. And so I've got to hear stories like yours to make me feel like, okay, I'm not alone in this. There's people who are going through what I'm going through. The only black, they're called the Black Humanist Association.
Mm-hmm.
They're in London. They're very
Mm-hmm.
far. I don't live in London. I live
Mm-hmm.
miles and miles away from London. And so it's just, I think we need to carry on this conversation. We need to be a representation for people, black people, women, young women, saying it's okay. You can live a good life without religion. It's okay. We're here. We're doing it. And yeah, just being this beacon of hope. Our journeys haven't been easy. Our journeys, they're not going to be easy because there's still people who believe that we're going to hell. There's still people who believe that we're out here worshiping the devil, you know. But it's got to be said, it's got to be done. We've got to keep pushing. We've got to keep on having these conversations. I I find pleasure in talking about living religion. I come alive when I'm engaging in conversation. It does something to me. And
Hell
so,
yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you're the same, but
No,
these
me too.
things like this just get me. Listen. Ooh,
No, I excuse me. No, me too. I've I think I've made that the point of like if I had to make a New Year's resolution was, to be better communicative with my friends and reaching people and responding to them timely because I've always been bad about that. But I don't always want to use the I'm constantly busy excuse because there's time and place for everything, but also to do more of the work and to have more conversations like these that make me feel fulfilled. Just like how me being as a nurse and me going to school to be an educator makes me feel fulfilled. Like I'm not a nurse that works close bedside with the COVID patients or things like that. I've had those clinical experiences and I've enjoyed them, but I'm at a point in my life where my career is more driven towards education and I work in that particular department. And so I see my passion in speaking with others. And this has
mm,
actually been very fruitful for me because this is something I have to do eventually once I graduate and get that and earn that degree where I have to speak and educate patients on certain health things and things like that. So having this kind of practice and speaking online and things like that has been fruitful. But I'm also having another passion through doing content like this because my passion is speaking about leaving faith as a Black
yes.
woman and
Mm,
striving to reach those that don't have the voice that I've been offered and the platforms that I've been given. And if they see me, they see you, they see
mm,
Cynthia,
mm,
Mandisa,
mm,
they see Bar, Mikey, Bryce, all
yes.
of them, they see us. Maybe that'll provide more encouragement for others like us to come out more, speak more, create more content, grow that community,
Mm,
and blend it with the overall atheist community and mission to normalize all of us. And we are
yes.
people, we are good people. We
Mm,
have morals without a God? Because I know that was one of your questions where, my morality stems from just not treating people bad. I know what's bad and I know what's right and what's wrong. And whether
Exactly.
that's based in, societal law, or whether that's based in humanity, it's all of that. It all encompasses that. If I am making a negative impact on a person's life, obviously that's not good morally. That should
No.
be obvious. Oh, but where does that innately come? It doesn't have to, it doesn't innately come from any one source. It's multiple things. You blend that from experiences. You blend that from what history has shown. That's why we don't, at least in America, have slavery. That's why
Mhm.
we don't, at least in certain parts of the world, don't intentionally starve people,
No.
or don't withdraw their health care, or not actually have that be a right and not just a privilege. And so if you want for people to live well, and if you want for people to sustain what they have and continue to be good citizens of the world, then why not just be good towards them? That's it. It doesn't have to come from one big person invisible in the clouds telling me I should be good,
Yes.
because then that's not genuine. That's not me. Someone's telling me to do something, whether aside from me actually doing it. That's not genuine.
No, it
I have
isn't.
felt more genuine and honest in what I do and share and donate to others as a non-believer. I have given more monetarily or physically,
Mm.
so much more than I have as an atheist now than I did
Mm.
as a Christian.
That's right.
And that was a true test to really
Mm.
feel like, okay, can I give outside of someone telling me to do so? Obviously I can, because I have.
Mm.
I think that's the ultimate great
Test.
way of demonstrating and tests to
Mm.
show where your morals are and how
Mm.
you can display yourself as a good person.
Absolutely. I will tell you this. I'm a better human as an atheist than I was a Christian. Um, when I was a Christian, we were told to not question. We were told that Jesus was the way and the only way to heaven.
Mm,
And the Muslims were going to hell, the Jews were going to hell, the Catholics were going to hell, all these other people were all going to hell.
mhm,
And so you're not to engage with them, you're not to marry them, you're not to
mhm,
have any association with them. So I was a closed book. I was when you say I was very closed minded as a
yeah,
Christian,
yeah,
because allowing doubts and allowing conversations with people who didn't believe what I believed could easily shake me off my belief. But then I realized that as an atheist, I can engage with Muslims. I can engage with any. In fact, I want to know about these religions because I want to know what their beliefs are grounded on.
yeah.
Okay. I want to know. I seem to be more open minded as a Christian than I was when I was. No, no, I seem to be more open minded as an atheist than I was when I was a Christian.
Mhm. Yes.
And I'm a lot nicer because I do it from the bottom of my heart. When I do something, I do it because I'm pleased to do it. The other day, someone asked me a question and I told a white lie, small lie, but it ate at me. It ate at me. I couldn't. I felt so bad that I had to tell this white lie. I still feel bad for doing it, but there's no God. There's no God telling me you shouldn't tell a lie. It should be okay to just lie, and there's no God's going to get me. But then
Right.
it's just me. I couldn't live with myself because I told that simple white lie, and I'm still trying to rectify it. I will rectify. I will let her know that I wasn't truthful, because I want to be able to sleep at night and be
Yeah.
peaceful with myself. So
I
I
think,
find
yeah.
it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm a
No, that's,
nicer
that's,
human.
yes.
Mm,
I think that's a very, very good point. That's a very good point because it's so easy with faith, whether you're doing it right or not, because we're
mm,
always,
mm,
met with, oh, you weren't, the right Christian, or you weren't really a Christian, or whatever bull. Is that, it's easy for believers to cover up whatever they want to cover up, to just pray about it, and that's it. Like, you
mm,
give it to God and let him take care of it, whatever. But it takes a strong person like yourself to know that you did wrong, or said wrong, or did
yes,
harm to someone,
yes,
and you have to live with that until you do it better
what's
and
right?
correct yourself and prevent it
Yes.
from happening next time. You have to have that onus and live with that. And I think that takes a stronger person. You definitely are a stronger person by doing that. You are. I feel, even, as much as my mom and my sister pray or tell me to pray, whatever, there are situations that I'm hung up on. I feel I'm a lot stronger than they are, because I see I see the depression and sadness in my mom's eyes.
Mm,
I see the struggles, even as a newlywed, my sister, that she's dealing in her marriage that hasn't even been a year, that she's dealing with. I see the sadness in her eyes. And all they can do is pray. And I sit back and I look at that and I'm like, I'm glad I don't have that life. But it hurts to see them have that. But what can I do? I can't. It's another thing that Oz has told me. And he's been just amazing for my own life personally. Um, you can only pick up your own pieces and mold those pieces into how you want to guide your life moving forward. You can't pick
yes.
up others. That's their responsibility. As much as you want to try and strive and be a people pleaser, you can only pick up your pieces and move forward and mold and shape your life the way you see fit. They can only do what they can do with their own. And that is something we all should keep in our own minds
Yeah,
as we just live this life.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's been, guys, if you have any questions for us, myself and Jenna, please put your questions in the chat.
Hi,
Um,
everyone. I saw someone's comment was like, because I know I saw this as we were talking, like Dr. Osiris was coming in, and I think it was, oh, I forget who said it. I want to say it was either Scapegoat or Mark that said, "Oh, Dr. Osiris was like, what did I miss?" And then one of them said, "Emotional stuff." It's like, yeah, well, yeah, it was pretty emotional, but it was good because it's this is real for us. This is real for us. I don't. Oh, that's a good. I don't personally have a channel that I have a lot of. I mean, if you kind of go to, if I pipe, yeah, can't talk. Type my name in the chat. You can go to. I do have a channel, obviously, because I have an account, but I don't
black
have
female,
I
black
know, not
female
even that.
atheist.
Not even that.
Oh, it's the
Like,
other one.
it's just my name. So
And
if
oh
you're just
yeah,
going to that, like I link to, I have a playlist that links to various channels that I'm a part of. I don't personally have my own channel with my
so
own content.
that's your channel. This one here.
Yes. And then
Okay.
I'll put my Twitter handle, I guess, because I mainly kind of talk on Twitter, and whatever content I'm on or share. Um, that's where I mainly tweet and do stuff. But really, I don't have my personal channel. I am in the process of creating like a pre-recorded show that's going to be on Tang, the Atheist Network group, called A Black Diaspora. I just
Ah,
recently recorded a one-on-one with Scott Williamson, and I'll do more, and I'll especially get you, Miss Esther, on that, where I want to display and have one-on-one discussions with Black and or mixed race. Yes, yes, international free thinkers. Yes, I'm mainly there too, and on Tang, um, where I want to have one-on-one discussions with Black atheists and mixed race atheists
atheist.
on their experiences, because it's not a lot of those voices that you hear.
Mm,
Maybe I can strive and promote that and share and see how in depth everyone's experiences, because we're
mm,
all different. And as much as I've shared and said, and I could see the shock in your face when I said I'm a closet atheist, but I got more
mm,
into detail. You followed up and asked, like, no one in your family knows? And I'm like,
mm.
no one knows.
Wow.
No one.
Wow.
So I failed to realize how, you know, um, how surprising that is for most people. And as much as my face is out there.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
this, but again, it's good. It helps me because it helps me feel happy and healthy.
That's it. So there's a question for me in the chat, and Saint Aisha, are you really sure you want to know what I would like to say to Jesus? You really sure? Because I don't have nice words to say to him. Um, I sincerely want to tell him to go fuck himself
To start.
to start with, and I sincerely want to say to him he's a liar. He told the disciples he'll be back. Some of them won't see death. And where is he? 2,000
Mm.
years later, is nowhere to be seen. He knew he wasn't coming back soon, and people were going to twist his words. You would think he would have at least wrote a book, wrote the Bible, and written them in languages people could understand. You would think that he'd have made things easier. No. You would think while he was here, there was slavery. He then turns around and say, slaves, obey your masters. What the? You, Jesus, had the opportunity to come and right the wrong, and you choose not to. Listen, I've got a lot to say to Jesus and his daddy, but
I like it. I mirrored the same and then some.
sorry, guys, I'm going off. Uh,
Oh man.
right, let's see if there's any more questions, because in a short while, myself and Ray, the producer, have a live stream. This conversation with Jana should have happened yesterday, but Jana had connection issues, so we couldn't do yesterday, and so we brought it just before my session with Ray, the producer. I'm going over to his channel.
Yeah. I'm gonna tune into
Yes,
that. That was something I saw. So that's gonna be exciting.
yes. I got a boogie. Thanks. Oh, right. KCA Randy, thank you. Thank you. Let me see if there's any more questions in the chat. He's a fairy tale. Oh, he is a fairy tale.
Hmm.
But if I could see him, if I could speak, oh, in fact, I'll be nicer to Jesus than God. I would be a lot.
Probably, yeah.
Listen, I
Yeah.
would. Oh, we're still waiting for him. We're going to be waiting for a very long time. He is not coming. After much
Gosh.
question for Jenna, what would you say to a younger version of yourself to kickstart the journey away from religion?
Ooh, that's hard. Um, I think I would like to warn myself.
Mm,
I would like to. I never really put much thought because I'm so forgive me if I'm taking a while to process it.
Mm,
And yeah, I would. I think I would like to warn myself and try to teach my younger self to understand terms and things. It would have to be at a special point where I really started to question because maybe in maybe in my teens. I don't think anything younger than that I would have really caught on. Maybe would have thought about it, but I don't think I was as intuitive or allowed myself to be as intuitive as I got older. But I think, and this probably sound weird, but I don't know if I would have really pushed myself. Maybe if I maybe pushed myself to truly have deconverted in maybe my mid 20s.
mm,
But younger than that, I would be too scared to do it because a lot of me deconverting and all that deconstruction process came out of really losing my dad. So to tell my younger self prior to the loss of my father that this is going to be the reason,
mm,
I think I would have messed myself up. I don't think I would be brave enough to tell myself that. I would have to just let it happen again. Because as much as I think they're anti-theists, and I honestly can say I'm pretty much at the cusp of being anti-theist myself. I don't want nor think it's rational, and I feel it's very harmful to push someone out of their faith, or even if they're just really at the cusp of questioning. I think it's very harmful because I know how damaging and harmful it has been, and the hurt and the trauma from it for me. I think I would have hoped for myself to have known of and sought out better resources over the several years that I could not find the resources that I have now. Seen more faces like you, Esther, and myself and others to feel that encouragement of, oh, there are Black people that are non-believers?
mm,
Because
mm,
I still did not
mm.
know that up until 3 years ago. So it's still been that fresh. So I think maybe those aspects I would have strived to push that knowledge in my earlier 20s, post losing my dad. Anything younger than that, that would have been too difficult.
Right.
And I don't think I would have allowed myself to say those things. It'd just be too much.
Mm.
That's a good question.
Someone asked a question about your background.
Hmm.
It was Mark. Mark says it was
Yeah.
such you got a lot going on there. It looks very cozy. I wouldn't
Oh, my
mind
physical background.
jumping, yeah,
I was
at the
thinking
back
like
there.
my my
No,
childhood background.
background right
Yeah.
there. I
Oh,
wouldn't mind just jumping in there with you and squeeze right next
yeah.
to you.
No, because if you saw a whole shot of everything, you see like all these pillows and this more of this fluffy
Looks
blanket and my
cozy.
microphone that's my by here. It's just backlighting and pillows, and I'm literally sitting on my floor. I'm like right
Oh
up
no,
against. Yeah,
you're on the floor.
I've been this way the whole time.
Oh
I've been
wow.
on my floor by next to my bed, and I was just like, how can I create my space to where it looks, if I'm going to do this YouTube thing, like I guess, the thing is you have to have a good looking background and mic and all that stuff. So I was like, well, I'm a bougie girl. I'm not gonna lie. So I have pillows galore, and I just set up everything. I bought some backlights to make it pretty, and I love purple. That's my favorite color, so obviously it's purple. And yeah,
It looks really nice. It looks really.
thank you.
Someone asked me a question. Secular Sakai says, if there's one country in the world most in need of more humanist and secular values, which one do you think it is? I couldn't possibly pick just one. Um,
Hmm.
any country that's got the Sharia law, I think, needs more humanist and secular values.
Mm-hmm.
Any country at all in the world that has that. the Sharia law could do with more humanists and people who don't buy into the ideology of
I agree.
that religion.
I agree.
Let's see. If humanists often go send updates to open same way. Why is it that God cannot send updates to all the brains?
At least update the book.
You have asked a question that even I cannot answer. I don't think, well, considering as atheists, we don't believe in a God, so
But I'm
an
sure just
imaginary
as
being can't do that.
yeah, and I'm sure as just as ourselves, if we were kings and queens of something, we would have
Mm,
done
done
different
better
things.
than,
Yeah.
oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. He's got a debate with Scotty. Oh, tonight.
Oh.
Morning. Oh shoot, I'll be asleep. Oh no, no. But I'll catch it tomorrow. Oh, and the other thing, guys, the mods, if you can help me, put Radio Producers channel in the chat. In the next 40 minutes, I'll be over there. Please put
I
the
think I
link
can
to his
make it.
channel in the chat. And question for both ladies: did you consider other religions? I see this phenomenon where Christians turn to Hinduism or Islam. For me, the
Mm.
answer is no. I is when I came out of Christianity, the veil of religion
Mm-hmm.
just I could see all
Mm-hmm.
religions just looked to me like Christianity. They
Yeah.
felt to me like everyone's just trying to explain how they see this world, what they think of this existence, and
Mm-hmm.
there was no need to be drawn to any religions. Is that the same for you, Jenna?
Same. Yeah,
Hmm.
same. Because, you know, I was raised to believe this was the one true thing. And I wasn't, it didn't feel necessary for me to be convinced of anything else. And I was just like, well, if this one thing is not right, there are many others just in Christianity denominations alone that are not right, assuming. And so I no, and I get that because I've seen a lot of that from many, like though they've
Mm-hmm.
became a deist and polytheist or whatever the process was, or just a whole different faith. No, I was just like, nope, Christianity, nope, that's it. I just don't believe. I don't buy it. Because then it will take even extra effort for someone to be even more convincing than how malleable I was when I was younger to be, introduced and convinced about faith. So,
Yes.
and so far, none have been. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Okay, moving on.
Okay. So, Jenna, let me see if there's any more questions.
I was trying to find the exact video to read the
I see your
producers.
video on
I think I
Gmail from 3 days ago. I guess that's next. Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah. Some really good questions being asked this evening. Thank you. Afro, let's see who else. Hinduism. What else? Do we have any more questions? You know, G-Man is a load to carry. I tried to do a G-Man, a review of a G-Man video. I could not. I didn't even get halfway, and I could
I
not for
saw
the.
that.
I just couldn't. How do people do it? I cannot.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so let's see. There's any more? I don't think there's any more questions. I was an atheist and I really wanted to criticize religion. I'd study comparative religion. I'd learn about all I would learn about all the world's religions instead of assuming they're all false. In my opinion, this is my opinion. We all
Mm-hmm.
start off as atheists. We all start off on
Mm-hmm.
a blank slate.
Mm-hmm.
So what I chose to do was to come away from Christianity and go back to that blank slate where there's no God belief.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, so good. I'm
Yeah.
living a better existence.
I think to add to that too, because we have to understand that Religion and a god are two different things. They're two different concepts. Religion is the movement of community around that belief that frames that god. But having that
Mm,
trust and belief in a god, you can be, you know, there's many people that are non-religious but spiritual, that they still believe in a god, but they don't attribute themselves to going into any religious service or anything else. And that's the thing. So before you can convince me to join in a new community, a new religious, whether it be old or new, you need to show me where that God is. You need to demonstrate that. And no, I don't have to demonstrate that there is not one. I'm taking your word for it as far
mm,
as you
mm,
know of your God.
mm.
I don't. That was
No.
not even a thought concept for me until you told me there was your God. Cool. Okay. Well, where you at? Where's she at? They, whatever. You got to show that to me first. Then the religion follows. The
Yes.
God is first. Because look, there's God in thousands of denominations of Christianity. It's all still the same God to them. So that God came first. Their
Yes.
religion and faith and how they follow it is second.
Someone asked me a question about whether I want religion taught in schools. I'm not opposed to religion taught in schools. In fact, when I was a Christian, now this is where religion is problematic. When
Mm-hmm.
I was a Christian, and my son during RE, religious education, they sent a letter home asking if, as a school, my son could be taken on a trip to a Sikh temple. I said, yes, why not? He's going to be with his teachers, he's going to be with, and why let him go see what's in a Sikh temple. I've never been to a Sikh temple, but I was happy
Mm-hmm.
to. But my husband at the time, he's my ex now, my ex husband, he vehemently said, no way. As Christians, we should not be introducing our children to other belief systems. And
Mm-hmm.
I tried, I really tried. I was a Christian then, but I was quite, I must have been fairly open minded. But I was of the opinion, he was really young. He was about 9 years old. What
Mm-hmm.
harm could come to him? He was saying, oh, he doesn't want him touching any of the statues, and because they could transfer imaginary stuff to him. And so
You know,
my son didn't go. He didn't
uh-huh.
go. I was hurt by that. I really was. So he missed out because of someone, my ex's
Mm-hmm.
religious beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
If your religion leaves you unable to see what else is out there, then what's the point? I'm not
Right.
opposed to religion taught in school. I believe that an introduction to world religions
Uh-huh.
should be taught in
Yes.
school. And
Yes.
and you put a disclaimer when you teach those
Thank you.
subjects. You put a
Yes.
disclaimer saying, believe at your own risk. Well, you don't tell children that, but you tell them that we're not sure that these stories are true.
This is how
Do your own
society,
homework.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. I think, I don't mind if you're gonna, like, someone has said in the comment, if you're gonna teach, yes, Mark, Caesar, if you teach religion in schools, you should teach all religions. So don't just mainly exclusively teach Christianity, because that's what's happening in America, where they strive to do that, or cover it with like, um, you know, creative designer. I forgot what the word is, but I can't think of it right now. But yes, because there's history behind why those religions developed in order to explain the world at that time. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm all about, learning about history. And sure, the disclaimer should be that, religion should be taught, all of them,
Mhm, mhm,
in the
mhm.
framework of history, in the
Yes.
framework of how societies have developed, not to indoctrinate, not to convince or appeal or
Yeah.
anything like that. It should
Convert.
just be, or convert. It should be taught in the framework of learning about history and how society has grown from this stage up until now. Because again,
mm,
religion is about the communal society of understanding the world around it. And whatever God behind that ushered that creation of religion. So that God, whatever that was, came first. And also, most religions, especially really smaller ones in other countries, don't have a God belief attached to that, too. It's just
mm,
a matter of how that society functions and works, and that's
mm,
okay. So, you can be of a religion and you practice those teachings of religion because it fits how you want to practice your life. But don't freaking put that on anyone else. Just do it for you. That's it. Don't put that on anyone else.
mm. Thank you very much. I have
Thank you very
enjoyed this conversation. It's been a roller coaster of emotions. It's been up, it's been down, but
much. Mm-hmm.
a great conversation. And Jenna, I need you to come back at some point.
Oh, hell yeah, girl.
There's a topic I would like us to talk about, and the topic is sex.
Oh,
Yes, talking about sex, sexuality after leaving religion.
mm-hmm. For the record, I love sex.
Um,
Let's just get that out of the way.
Thank
That's
you. I'm
just to
glad
be
you do.
just to be the ultimate mature person in the room. No, no, that's beautiful. Yes, I would love to be
I
a part of that conversation.
I would like us to talk about normalizing
Mm-hmm.
sex and sexuality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Religion tries to they try to control people's sexuality and who they have sex with,
Oh yeah.
the kind of sex that they're having. But then when you come away from a religious upbringing, you come out not sure how to date, how to
Yeah.
everything just gets really messed up.
There's a
And
no,
so,
and I won't go into it, but there's a lot there, and there's a lot I have thought about in the concept of Black women that have either lost their husbands or
oh yes,
divorced, and
yes,
that time span in between where sexuality and all that it's been huge for me to really
yes,
look at that stuff, even close to home, like with my
yes.
own mother. So
I
yeah,
mean,
I'm
something
in.
something like pornography.
Mm-hmm.
They try
Mm-hmm.
to make people
Mm-hmm.
guilty for looking at this stuff. And to be honest, some of those things they're good to look at. They're good to look at.
I find
Listen.
great joy and pleasure.
I don't know how people. Well, I've heard about addiction to porn. How do you get addicted to porn? Are you
I
watching it like 24 hours of the day? I don't know about addiction, but these are the things I would like us
Mhm.
to talk about. Is there such a thing as addiction to porn? It's okay to look at porn. It is okay. Come on. But then when I was a religious person, that was a no-no. Masturbation.
Yeah,
Oh,
heavy
masturbation.
guilt,
You are not allowed to masturbate. How dare
heavy guilt.
you? How
Yeah,
dare you pleasure
being
yourself
deflowered
when
before being married, and
when
yeah,
masturbation is something you do with yourself. It's you and yourself, no one else. But somehow God is offended with that. Oh, okay, guys. I think the next time Jenna comes, we will be talking about sex and sexuality after leaving religion. And Dean Kruger says sex in religion equals guilt, shame, and control of women.
mhm, mhm,
We're told in the Bible that the wisest man in the Bible, he had 1,000 women.
mm,
Solomon had a
mhm,
thousand women. It's a holy book. How can the
mhm.
holy book tell you that the wisest man has 700 wives and 300 concubines, and then the same religion will turn around and tell a gay couple that they're wrong for doing that? But somehow the one who's got 1,000 women, no, he's wise. Is that not crazy? Jenna, I have enjoyed this conversation, and
Oh
now
gosh, I
I've
have
I've
to.
got to, guys. In the next half an hour, I will be over at Ray the Producer's channel,
Watch it.
and and please do come over there and let us. Oh, and by the way, we're going to be talking about a very very important. It's going to be another important conversation. We're going to be talking about Sharia in Nigeria. Some of you know I'm half Nigerian, and I my formative years were
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
Nigeria. I still have a lot of links with Nigeria. I still have friends who live in the Sharia
Right.
states
Under the
in
yeah.
Nigeria. So I
Yeah. That's something I'm gonna be educated on because I'm not familiar. So no, that's gonna be something I'm gonna listen to. But I
okay,
enjoyed
guys,
this.
and
Thank
please,
you.
if you're not subscribed, please do subscribe. And yeah, thank you all very much. And Jenna, thank you.
Thank you, girl. Thank you for having me.
And your story of being a black atheist woman is inspiring. And I'm hoping that more people, black women, young women especially, I have a thing for young people. Our fathers, our mothers failed a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
We are at the stage where the decisions we make now will determine the next generations their lives. So what we
Absolutely.
do now means a lot, matters a lot, and so these
Absolutely.
conversations have to carry on. And is that where next can we? Where's the next live stream you're doing, Jenna? So in case people want to follow up with you.
Um. Oh gosh, it would probably be on Tang by on the Atheist Sector group this Tuesday. He and
Tang,
I are
so
gonna.
Tang. If you can put
Mm-hmm.
that in the, if you
I
can put
will.
that in the chat, please. Tang's
Yes.
channel, yeah. And on Tuesday,
Yes. Tuesday, May March 1st at
March 1st.
7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. We do every other Tuesday, chopping it up with Jenna and Oz. So that's I linked my own personal channel. I'm trying to get Tank's linked up channel right now as I'm talking. But that's like the next thing I'm doing. Like again, I don't create my own content on my own channel. I do it on other platforms just because
Mm-hmm.
I'm too busy to maintain my own shit. I can't. I much
Absolutely.
rather I have comfort in doing work with others.
You're
I'm fine
you're
with collaborating and working with others.
you're doing a fantastic job. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Guys, thank you all very much, and I'll see you again soon. Bye everyone. Bye. Bye bye. See you over at Ray the Producer's channel.
Yes.
Bye everyone.